And we're back here on Whistle Radio 102.9 FM. My name's Ken Judge. We're on Sports Timeout. And Joe Moyer had to step away for a little bit. But I have a new co host for this second half, and he's none other than from CFTO fame, Mr. Joe Tilley. How are you today, sir?
Well, I'm doing great, Ken. Life is good, I must say. And I'm in Mexico right now, so it's pretty good here. Every day it's like 26, 27 degrees and sunny, and I can't complain about anything. Really, I can't. So I won't.
That's great. I didn't know about the Mexico part. I really appreciate you coming on here, especially now that I know you're so far away. We're going to start with your show that seems to really be taking off, and lately you actually had one of my heroes, Mike Palmatier, as your guest. Let's talk about the Great Canadian Sports Show with Joe Tilley.
Well, first of all, Ken, I call my home Stouffville now, so I'm in your neighborhood, so that's good. And then the Great Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show is something we started, I guess 3 years ago now, and we it was after we retired from CTV Bell Media. When they sort of decided to cut sports out. I was gonna do nothing. I was just gonna, do nothing. But a friend of mine suggested I do something. I did a little bit with him for a while, and then I decided that I kind of like what I'm doing. But what I want to do is I just want to interview former, current players, GMs, whatever. Canadian sports celebrities, and hear from guys that we haven't heard from for a long time, maybe learn their story, see what kind of stories they have. And everybody's got a story, and everybody surprises the hell out of me when I start to talk to them. And you talked about Mike Palmatier. Palmy, I've been emailing him for a considerable amount of time, trying to nail him down to a time. And he said, finally, February looks good. Let's give it a shot. And, you mentioned how he was one of your favorites. You won't believe how many people have told me that. Like since I had Palmy on, oh my God, he was one of my favorites. And then Tom Hayes, of course, from CFTO News days as well, and Global, who now has his own little 1 minute morning. You can see it on LinkedIn. Anyway, Tom Hayes gets back to me and says every goalie was Mike Palmatier. Back in the 70s when we were playing road hockey, every goalie was Mike Palmatier. And he said, and every forward was Davey Keon. So this that was kind of the way it was. And Palmy was he had a great story. He was a tremendous forward, right? He would score 90 goals one year. Wow. as a 9-year-old. And the one day the coach bought in a set of goal pads, and he said, anybody want to try it? And Palmy was the first to put up his hand. And I think probably the coach is reluctant to put a guy like that in goal, but he wanted to try it, so they gave him a shot. And it turned out he was phenomenal right from the get-go. And the guy who was the goalie, the kid who was the goalie, when the coach decided he's going to put him in Palmy in goal, this is the select team, and for a game, the other kid's father took his kid off the team, and Palmy, the job was his. And from there, of course, the rest is history. But he always did things. He was an offensive-minded guy. You saw watching Palmy's routine, how he came out of the net. He'd come and poke check guys at the blue line. I mean, he was just fearless. He was a different kind of cat, and he wasn't anything like a stand-up goalie that we'd seen. He was flipping and flopping. He was a Dominic Hasek before Dominic Hasek. He was that type of player, and and really a great family man too. Like he's a local guy from really he's Aurora, so he's in the neighborhood. So he lived in Florida for a while, but born and raised in Toronto, but now lives in Collis, Aurora home, and has roots there, and his kids kind of grew up there, but really committed family man, and and things are really going well for Palmy in his life, and of course aside from the 20 knee operations, So everybody's got a story like that. We had Craig Simpson on, and in doing my research against for these guys, I found out a lot of things about them that I didn't realize before. Like Craig Simpson has the highest shooting percentage in NHL history.
Wow. I didn't
For
know
that
that
short career,
either.
yeah. And his career was cut short by injuries as well, and back injury and knee injury, and what a player he could. He had to pack it in at 28, and he still has like all those goals and game-winning goals in the Stanley Cup and most points in the Stanley Cup final in 1990, and Cassie Campbell and Eric Lindros, and it goes on and on. We have some pretty cool Dan Giancola. What a story he was. And Perry Lefko and Dan wrote a book about Dan's crazy life. And it was, he just would never, he believed he could do it. And his mom told him he could do it. And he said, Mom, someday I'm going to have my name and number on the back of a pro sports jersey. And at that point, he didn't know what pro sport it was going to be. And he was a great soccer player, and which is why he was an incredible kicker. So, that's what happens. We learn a lot about these people that we didn't know much about before, and it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to get into the state of our Toronto sports, our teams here. I'm going to get a little brief from you on how you feel each team is progressing right now. But I'm going to ask you actually to lead us in with one of your famous um,
Okay.
intros, please.
All right. Sports coming up. So, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, we'll start with the Maple Leafs, just a brief and on your feelings on where they're going, and then we'll shift over to the Raptors and their additions and how you feel about that, and then just a little quick on the Blue Jays before we finish here today.
Well, okay. So the Maple Leafs, I think a lot of folks would be thinking the Maple Leafs have a lot of firepower, obviously. The goaltending situation might even be sorted out now that Samsonov has sort of regained his old form. And, we and Joseph Wall will come back, and between Samsonov and Wall, you've got a legitimate number one, and maybe a 1A. So I think their goaltending situation has been resolved, which was really a concern there for a while. But defensively is where all the question marks are, right? If it's, I don't know, they don't seem to be as strong on the blue line as we thought they might be. There've been some real nice surprises, like Jake McCabe has some great games, and he's a guy that maybe as we go down the stretch, you might find him getting a little more ice time. Obviously, Morgan Riley, great player, and he has the occasional brain fart, as all players do, I suppose. But he's really good player, really solid. But yeah, Timothy Liljegren is not as sharp as we thought he might be. He seemed to be making progressive strides in that direction, but it seems to be for some reason recently has taken a little bit of a step back. TJ Brody, he has me scratching my head, a lot of times, right? But you got the like Methuselah, Giordano, and but he just keeps going out there, and sometimes he has great games, and sometimes he messes up a little bit. Like he had problems in that Dallas game that cost him a goal, a mistake that he made. But what I thought was interesting too is that the team kind of rallied a little bit around that and make sure they got that goal back right away, and they did, and then they took the lead after that and won the game. I thought one of their better wins of the season against a very good team.
Are you in on Simon Benoit as well as a lot
Yeah,
of people
yeah,
are?
yeah. You know what I am? Absolutely. He was a real nice surprise because, nobody expected anything. You thought it was a piece, like it was a guy they brought up as a piece that, maybe won't be around long, but for injury purposes or whatever, they brought him up, and man, he's been great. He's
Yeah,
been great.
yes.
He sticks up for guys. He'll take anybody on. He grinds it out back there, hits people, and he's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
McCabe's the same similar kind of player. Between those two, they add a lot of grit to that defense.
definitely. Let's move on real quick to the Raptors. How did you feel about the new additions at the trade deadline?
I don't know what's going on there. It's I look at what I see with the Raptors and I go, interesting.
Do you like
Because
Barrett?
yeah, I love RJ. Yeah, and since I think that since he's joined the team, he's been a rejuvenated player. He's a better player. And Barnes is now he is the the centerpiece, and that's what they wanted to do. Is they wanted to make Barnes the center of attention, the focal piece for the team, which Siakam was before, and for whatever reason it didn't work with Siakam as a focal piece. So now that you made Scotty that, let's see what happens. Maybe he's the maybe this is what's going to it's going to take a while for the team to sort of gel around that, move around that. But again, I thought that was a really good statement win against Rockets. 107-104, but Houston is a good result. There were some tense moments there for a while, but once again, they they got the job done. They took an early lead. They were able to hold on to it, even though late rally by Houston, but they were able to hold on to the lead, which is really really important,
Yeah,
and a good character build.
yeah,
And and Pirtle had a great game, and I just think that you know they're okay, but let's see what happens because there's more to come here. There's more to come, but quickly seems to be doing well. I think that they made quickly that he's the number one port guy now. Now that Shooter's gone, and he picks up 25 points last night.
yeah. We don't have a lot of time here, Joe, but your predictions on the Blue Jays, will they get over the Otani situation?
Well, you know what? I think there was, yeah, I think they will, uh, because it was a horrifying situation. Really, it just deflated the era of the franchise because we really thought they had a shot, and they did have a shot, but we thought we were going to get him for a period of time there. So
Yeah,
when we didn't get him, it really let the air out of their tires, our tires, everybody's. Like, oh, what a what a downer moment that was.
yeah,
But if they get Pet and sure they have up the offense already. They have up the offense. Offensively, they're better already. And let's face it, guys like Vlad, he's going to have a better year. That was a terrible year,
definitely.
and he's moving into a contract year. He's going to be a free agent next year. So, you're going to. I think you're going to see a real big bounce back year from Vlad. I think they have to break the bank to re-sign him because otherwise, all this
Yeah,
goodwill that they built up over the last few years goes down the toilet.
yeah,
And so, yeah, they have to re-sign Vlad. They were able to give both a 3-year, extension, and
yeah,
he's good for now. But yeah,
yeah.
they got to get Vlad time.
And to finish us off here today, Joe, your quick Super Bowl prediction.
Well, I think the Chiefs have got it done. Anytime you got a rookie quarterback, well, basically, and you run into problems in that kind of a pressure cooker.
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes has been there like 1,000 times.
yeah,
Even though, record wise and everything else, the 49ers looked like a better team maybe on paper, but there's no, yeah, it's hard to quantify, in terms of stats and everything else, what Patrick Mahomes brings to the table. He's a guy who gets it done.
yeah.
He's just one of those guys. He's a Brady, he's
Thank
a
you
Joe
so much.
Montana. Yeah, yeah,
So you're picking the Chiefs.
yeah. But, I mean,
Thank
it'll
you,
be
Joe.
reasonably close, 31-20.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Again, my name's Ken Judge. I'm here on Sports Timeout with none other than the Joe Tilley. Thank you so much, and you have a great day, sir.
Yeah, go Chiefs. Thanks, Ken. Nice talking to you, buddy.
Nice talking to you too.